Should your survey be anonymous, or should you collect names and email addresses or otherwise keep the survey responses identifiable? Here's a guide to get you started. Since I don't know your situation, this is just general information and not business or consulting advice. That means I'm going to skip over a lot of nuance. But if you want hands-on help with your overall survey approach, or feedback on your questions, question order, branching, and thank you pages and other follow-ups, I've got my contact information in the description for this video. So let's start by looking at why you want your survey to be anonymous, and then see how that desire might be tempered or negated by other issues. First and foremost, response rates are higher for anonymous surveys. So if your goal is to just amass as much data as possible, and you don't have other concerns, then anonymous is the way to go. It's also the case that people tend to feel more comfortable being honest with their feedback and saying more negative things, or maybe even embarrassing things, when they feel like their responses cannot be tied back to them directly. That means that if you need more of a critique or an expression of opinions, then anonymous is the way to go. Some scenarios that work well for anonymous surveys are presentations, training courses, and customer service processes. So why wouldn't you want all of your surveys to be anonymous? One obvious drawback of anonymous surveys is that you cannot follow up on responses because you don't know who the response is from. Not knowing who said what can also inhibit your ability to thoroughly analyze the results because you're not sure how those responses correlate with other information about your respondents. You might be able to guess who said what, but you won't know. Another is that you might get multiple responses from the same person. It's kind of like that old joke of vote early, vote often. Depending on the data you're getting from your survey, that could skew results just like it would for elections. So how do you balance the benefits of an anonymous survey with these other issues? One easy way to maximize response rates while still allowing for the potential of a follow-up is to make identifying information like name and email optional. At the end of your questionnaire, that could mean adding a prompt like, "May we contact you about your response? If so, please enter your name and email address." Or, if you're allowed to solicit, you can kill two birds with one stone by bundling identifying information in with a more direct question or incentive. Like, if you would like to be added to my newsletter or get access to a special offer, please enter your name and email. Of course, when you're doing these types of optional things, keep consent in mind. Respondents are really just consenting to what you said you were going to do with their information, not whatever you might be tempted to do now that you have their information. So it's a best practice to ask for consent separately for each situation where it might be applicable, and to use logical branching within your survey so that you're not asking people to give their name and email multiple times in the same questionnaire. Niceties aside, sometimes, for various reasons, you need to know who said what. And sometimes you're sending your survey out to a list of people you already know, like contacts that are already in your CRM, or a list of employees. In these cases, using survey logins or personalized survey links is the easiest way for you to prevent multiple responses from the same person and to track who has not responded yet, so you can send them a reminder. If you have other data on or from these respondents and your situation allows, knowing who said what gives you the ability to match and combine this survey data with other existing data, giving you a richer context of who each respondent is and how their characteristics might correlate with certain responses. If that's starting to sound a little big data or big brother to you, kudos to you for recognizing that you're starting to get into a bit of a protected gray area when it comes to your surveys and respondents, and that we're on the complete opposite end of the spectrum from anonymity. That means respondents are more likely to get hedgy about responding to your survey at all, let alone responding honestly. This can be particularly true in employee situations where there might be a fear of retaliation. It's important to remember that identifying information goes well beyond name and email address, and could include data like home address, phone number, job title, race and other identity demographics, and anything else that would let you identify that, aha, This response must have come from this person. But that doesn't mean that this is an either-or situation. You can blend the benefits of the outright identifiable survey with some of the benefits of anonymity. This is usually done by separating out the data collection process from the processes of analysis and reporting, and only making confidential data available for analysis and reporting. That is, data sets in which identity-related information is being kept confidential from the people who are using it. That could be as simple as stripping out name and emails from the dataset, to only supplying aggregate data summaries where there are at least a certain number of respondents for that thing, so again, you cannot be sure who said what. Whatever your situation, it's important to remember that more data isn't necessarily better. Where you fall on the spectrum of anonymity is really going to come down to why you want this data in the first place. Or, in other words, what you might do as a result of having that data and where you're willing to sacrifice. Like number of responses, honesty, follow-up, combining data sets, data-related risk, or some other factor. If you found this video useful, drop a comment and tell me all about it. Like and share with someone else who needs it. And remember, reach out if you want a helping hand. Thank you for watching.